We're live.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Wednesday edition of Sports Nonsense and Whiskey. Hanging with my boy Pinky, Tuesday, September 14th. Boy, do we have some things to discuss this evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna
Sorry,
start
guys.
off right now. I'm not gonna talk about anything. I'm just gonna say that I had a very bad weekend. Very, very bad weekend for Caleb. From Saturday evening all the way through to Monday evening. It was a bad weekend for Caleb.
It was rough for all of us, my friend. Um, I think I learned again. Week one seems to teach me very often. I have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to fantasy, betting, um, or just football in general. But then week two happens, and I get back in my groove. So
God, I hope week 2 is better because oh my lord.
week two will be better. It'll be better. There's some.
Yikes.
Well, I say that, but there's some games I probably wouldn't touch betting because they're so close. I have no idea which way it would go.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm just gonna
I'm going light. I've got got the early morning doctor's appointment, so probably shouldn't get liquored up.
Yeah, well, the fact that this is the only drink I've had over the weekend is amazing enough.
That's pretty good. I was super
I
excited.
don't sad drink. So now, had things gone differently and I was happy, I'd have had a few. But no, I don't sad drink. So the sadness is left. Now it's back to reality, and I'll sip on my 2 finger. Might be 4, but I'm sipping. So maybe there's a little sadness left, but that's not the point.
I think my cat wants to join the podcast. What's up,
Hey,
Cat?
as long as we have a viewer, that's all that matters.
At least one person's watching. I've got 2 of them. I'm actually just whichever one I pick up.
Oh goodness.
All right, so where do you want to start off with tonight?
Well, I think we do need to discuss a little bit of baseball because there's some serious things happening here. I believe Albert Pujols is definitely worth a mention. Hit number 697 over the weekend. He is ahead of Alex Rodriguez. He is 4th on the all-time list now.
Yeah.
So I'm very much rooting for him to get to the 700 club. I think that would be awesome. And then Judge hit 2 last night. He's at 57 now. We got 2 weeks left in the season. He is still on pace to go over 61. So I think if we could see Pujols get to 700, I think if we could see Judge get to that 62 number, that would be pretty sweet. That would be pretty cool.
If the Cardinals aren't really in the race, it'd be nice to see somebody just lob a couple to him. Like just throw one, let him hit it out. You know,
I don't want to see it done that way because he's just been on such an amazing run this second half of the season to begin with, and he's done it right his whole career. Unfortunately for Angels fans, sorry Cody, that giant contract they gave him did not pay off in any shape, way, or form. But it was cool to see him go back to St. Louis and then end his career the way he has on a high note. So that's nice. And then
has he said this is his last year?
Oh yeah. Yeah, he's done. He's done. He's come out. He's done the farewell tour this year. So I saw news today, actually, on the Judge note that he's not ruling out anybody in the offseason, including the Boston Red Sox.
Oh.
So imagine Aaron Judge goes 62 this year and then leaves the Yankees in free agency for the Boston Red Sox. Imagine that story.
He wants that money, man. He's earned it too.
Man, just crazy. Just crazy. So there's a few other little baseball storylines. Verlander's got an ERA under 2 right now, which is pretty sweet. Paul Goldschmidt still has an outside chance at the Triple Crown, which hasn't been done in the National League since like 1937 or something like that. So there's still some cool storylines. I think Trout and Ohtani will be gone from the Los Angeles Angels by the end of next year. Personally, I don't see either one of them being an Angel after next season, whether that's through trade or free agency. take your pick. So, there's some stuff going on in baseball that's if you're a big sports guy or woman, there's some things to pay attention to for sure.
It's the home stretch too. Home stretch before the playoffs.
Yep, 2 weeks, man. 2 weeks. So we'll see what happens, and then me, I can't help it. Once playoffs roll around, I'm very much into it. So I'll be talking a little more baseball. Not a lot, because I know it's football season. You don't want to hear it, but once playoffs roll around, it's still worth.
I'm inclined to catch a baseball playoff game if the right teams are playing. I watched pretty much all of the one when the Royals were in it because they're not my team, but a lot of my family are KC Royal fans, and so it was fun to watch them beat the Mets. So, I'll get involved from time to time, but it's got to be the right teams to make it interesting for me. But playoff baseball is on a whole different level compared to, regular season baseball.
For sure. So we'll have some discussion there, and we'll see what happens. Soccer is starting to heat up. World Cup is going to be kicking off here over Thanksgiving week. Is the first week of games, so there's some friendlies coming up that if you're a soccer fan, definitely be ready to check out. USMNT is going to be playing some friendlies. Berhalter has come out and said that the lineups he's going to be putting out there are not definitively the lineups that will be going to World Cup. So it'll be fun to watch and see who plays and how they play, because that could have a big effect on whether or not they're going to be selected for that squad. So that'll be something I'm taking a high interest in. Basketball and hockey are right around the corner. Hockey starts training camp here in like a week. Basketball start training camp in 2 weeks.
I'm pretty sure preseason game is on Sunday.
For hockey.
For hockey, yeah, for the Avs.
Yeah. Hockey starts. Hockey is crazy, man. They got a long season. They got a short off season. They don't get a lot of time to have to themselves, so they get going here real soon again. So, be nice to see if the Avs can repeat. That's what I'll be paying attention to for sure. It'll be nice if Kroenke gets his head out of his ass and allows them to be on TV again. That'll be fun, so I can actually watch them.
Don't count that.
I'm not.
But that would be nice. At least they're on a lot of primetime games this year, so there are at least. I think I saw a thing saying like there's at least 10 or 12 games that they'll be available for us to watch throughout the season.
They'll be on ESPN a number of times for sure. With that big contract ESPN signed, they're defending cup champs. So we'll get a chance to see them a little bit at least. NCAA football is off to a bang. We had 3 teams lose to squads they paid over $1 million to play against.
Love it.
Notre Dame lost, Texas A&M lost, and we will not mention the other one. But yeah, that's feel bad for those teams, man. Actually, I don't. I feel bad for Notre Dame. I could care less about Texas A&M.
The only team I felt bad for over the weekend was Texas.
So Texas and Bama was, man, I'll tell you right now, I told you, pay attention to Quinn Ewers. I told you to pay attention to Quinn Ewers. That dude was lighting Bama up.
That delivery is weird as hell, but it works.
Hey,
and
man,
he was looking good.
Looking real good until he got hurt. Now he's out.
If he doesn't get hurt, they win that game.
Agreed. Absolutely agreed.
And I actually think they might have blown Alabama out as bad as their offense was playing.
I don't know if it would have been a blowout in the sense of 17 plus points, but it could have easily been a 2-touchdown game for sure.
I think it would have gotten there because Alabama's offense couldn't do jack.
No, they were not looking good.
They did not look good.
So that's a big hit. Unfortunate for Quinn. But if he can come back by the end of the season, they're saying anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks is the last thing I heard. So if he can come back and finish the season strong, he'll be an early Heisman favorite next year, and he could put a big name on his back there for the NFL draft.
He better hurry towards the NFL draft because Arch is coming.
Arch isn't starting his first year if Quinn Ewers is playing like that, man. Arch will sit his first year. That'll just be the way it is. Quinn looked good. But again, he was a number one recruit. I mean, he was a number one quarterback coming out 2 years ago. Graduated early, enrolled in Ohio State early, so he could be there for spring practice instead of the summer camps. And Ohio State went in a different direction. They had a guy already there, and they decided to go with TJ Stroud instead. So
I think they like the more mobile guy.
It's possible. I am a little surprised that he didn't get more of a look. But I mean, let's be honest, Stroud is balling. So it's not like you're going to take Stroud out and put Ewers in. But Ewers looks like he found a good landing spot there with Sarkisian down in Texas. So I hope he can come back sooner rather than later, show healthy, and ball out the rest of the season so he can go into next year with a lot of momentum going forward. And that hurts me to say because I can't stand anything Texas. Cannot stand anything Texas.
See, I don't mind Texas. I've never liked Oklahoma. I've always hated Oklahoma.
Oh, well, I'm not even going to go there. Let's not even bring that. I told you I'm not talking red today. Let's not even.
I was trying. USC looks good so far. First 2 games of what's his name? Lincoln Riley out there in USC. So
I mean, when you get your Heisman hopeful quarterback to follow you from Oklahoma to USC, you should have some success.
If you have a quarterback,
you got the Biletnikoff winner from last year leaving Pitt to go to USC as the top wide receiver in the nation. So I mean, if he didn't look good, there would be some serious question marks.
There would be. Again, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. So
they are.
That's what you want to see. So it's interesting. College football. I've probably watched more of it this year so far than I have in the last 3 years.
Oh, so. Did I get you? Did I hook you a little bit finally? Finally piqued your interest enough to pay attention?
I do have Saturdays off now, which in the past I did not. And
That'll help.
I mean, Miami right now is in the top 15, so that helps. And I know it's a weird thing. I love it. I love the Hurricanes. I don't know why, but it is what it is.
This.
No.
This.
Oh man, no.
All day, every day.
No, we're not going big red. So let's
Let's not go there. Let's not.
You're starting to disrespect my team. So gonna have to start pushing buttons.
Convicts versus criminals. That shit never goes away.
I'll take it. I'll take some convicts on my team. I'm fine with that.
I mean, Florida's probably more related to that than anybody, but
I'll take it.
So yeah, college football's off to a good start. Definitely some storylines that are going to be fun following here over the next couple of weeks and see where things start shaping out. Beyond that, I don't really have a whole lot else. Jump in, baby. Let's go. Let's roll.
Well, obviously, week 1
Let's
occurred.
not ride.
Too far. It's too far. Too soon. Week 1 occurred last week, and again, taught me sometimes I know nothing. And there was some very interesting things. Starting out, I gotta say, two quick games to be really quick and easy on. Bills and Rams, Chiefs and Cardinals. Watching Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes play quarterback is a damn treat.
It's fun. It's absolutely fun.
They just do things that the normal person can't do. I will say, watching that Rams game, it was very obvious Stafford was locked into Cooper Kupp. He wasn't looking anywhere else.
Which is mind-blowing because if he looks anywhere else for a couple times, they move that ball.
I saw a stat on 30 of Allen Robinson's routes, he was open on 80% of them.
Yep.
So move the ball around, make it to where they have to focus on somebody else, and then you're hitting Kupp as well for the big.
It also helps the run game. If you're only throwing to one dude and you can lock down on one side of the field, that really helps be able to lock the run game down too. So, he's got to get his head out of his ass for sure.
I think that what led that game to be one-sided. but Josh Allen and the Bills
I
were
still
on
think
fire.
I told you I think the Bills win big. I said that from the beginning. I'm not very high on the Rams. I'm very high on the Bills. I think what they did in the offseason was improve their team. I don't think the Rams really did that. I think they stayed even at best. So, I mean, let's be honest. Jalen Ramsey got exposed. That's supposed to be the top corner in the league, and that dude got exposed.
He did not have one of his best games for sure. I will say, watching that game start to finish, Josh Allen's great. In the fourth quarter with a 20-point lead, I do not want my quarterback running the football.
You know, people are going to keep saying that. And to me, it's one of those things where if you change your play style to protect yourself, that's when you get hurt. If you keep playing the way you always have, you're less likely to get injured. It's notoriously that way.
It just takes one dude to come in and hit you in the hip wrong or the back or just anything. And he's just too valuable to have that happen. A 21-point lead where the Rams weren't doing much on offense, there wasn't a lot of urgency or pressure on the Bills to keep scoring. They were already up. They were up 31 with 5 minutes left, and he was still running the football. That is not acceptable.
I get what you're saying, but again, for me, I don't want to see him change his play style because when you stop reacting to the situation and you start thinking about the situation, that's when you're going to get injured or more likely to get injured. So I'll agree it's not a great thing to see, especially when you've got the game in hand. But I think that says a lot about, the type of player he is. And damn, everybody would like to have that on their team.
They would. And then Mahomes was lights out, man. Lights out. And we
said the Cardinals defense was bad. So that didn't surprise me. I think what surprised me more was the fact that the Cardinals offense looked so terrible against a bad Chiefs defense.
There was both of that. And again, what the Chiefs are great at is if they get up on you by 14 points and they put that pressure on you and that snowball just keeps happening. You are pressured to score every possession. So
I think what was fun though is to see, the question mark we kind of had was, can Patty Mahomes spread the ball around in the right situations and not scramble, run the offense as the play is called, hit the guy, in route. Man, he looked good.
Yeah,
he looked real good.
And again, the Cardinals played a lot of zone, and I was just like, if you don't put any pressure on him, make him move at all, and make him play man where you make him make quick decisions, he's going to hit the wide open guy every time. So it was awesome.
And I know we're going to talk about it here in a little while, but man, tomorrow night's game is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. He was. I watched that game. I was hoping they'd have the Chargers Raiders game on. They had the Chiefs Cardinals, which wasn't a great game. But watching him, just Kelsey, Juju, Hardman got in the mix. Clyde Edwards-Helaire looked like he was running for his job. There was a lot of good stuff happening, a lot of fun. It sucks. I hate the Chiefs, but they're fun to watch as a football fan.
Yeah, they are. I feel bad for Ronald Jones. Dude went there thinking he was going to get a shot to actually finally run the ball, and he was a healthy scratch.
Nope.
Which is mind-blowing to me because from what I've seen on tape, he is a better talent than Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But he's not their first-round draft pick, so they're going to give Clyde Edwards-Helaire every opportunity to try and redeem himself. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And he didn't look bad, but Pacheco looked better.
Clyde had 2 touchdowns. He had 60 yards rushing, and I think he had 30 or 40 receiving, man. He looked just fine.
I didn't say he looked bad. I just said Pacheco looked better.
I don't think he looked better at all.
I do. I don't – CEH is not – again, he did that against a subpar defense. Let's see what he does tomorrow night. You know what I mean? Then we can tell if it's, really turning around or if he is what he is. So we'll see.
All right, let's try to run through some quick ones. Dolphins, Pats. Great game for the first-time head coach, Mike McDaniel. The Pats look awful on offense.
They don't look good on defense either.
Not really, yeah.
The Dolphins obviously look like a team that's kind of figuring things out still, so they weren't quite explosive and blowing the Pats out. A lot of conservative play calls from what I saw by the new head coach. Just kind of making sure they could get through the game. I could see that offense opening up a lot here in the next couple of weeks.
Anytime you beat the Patriots and you make them look bad, I'm a fan of that.
You see the handshake after the game?
I didn't see it.
Oh, man. Belichick cold shouldered him. Went up there and gave him like a limp dick handshake and turned his back before they were even done. Turned his back like, Doof! And took off. And McDaniel looked at him like, okay. Like he turned and looked at the dude that was running with him. He's like, okay. Like,
again, their lack of talent. Bill's coaching can only go so far with the lack of talent they have. So
I think that's going to be the one team we got right. Record wise, Patriots suck.
I still think there's some that we're going to get right. I mean, relatively, they're still going to be bad.
We'll see.
Ravens Jets took too long for the Ravens to get going. I don't think they got going until like the third quarter.
Some bugs to work out in the first half or so.
They were never in jeopardy. The Jets they had Joe Flacco at quarterback. Like they weren't going to be in jeopardy of anything. But when I was looking at the scores, and I was just like, how are the Ravens still like 3-3 with the Jets? Like that didn't make sense to me. Like they should have been up pretty big on that one.
Yeah, they blew them out pretty. Lamar's looking like Lamar. Threw that nice deep ball to Bateman too. That was a pretty ball, man.
One that I think we got right, Saints Falcons, and
we did pick the Saints to win, but damn, how many leads can the Falcons blow in the fourth quarter? Up 16. That is the game I thought was going to screw my parlay, not San Francisco. God.
Yeah, well, I took Saints in like 5 points, so it still screwed it, but
ugly game.
Game. It's disgusting. That should never happen.
I will say, I think the Saints are probably what they thought we were. Not great. They'll be middle to bottom of the road.
Winston doesn't throw to Kamara at all.
I think the Falcons, like I told you, are going to be competitive. They're not going to win a lot of games, but they are going to be competitive.
Probably the best game to watch over the weekend, Eagles-Lions. What a barn burner.
So I don't ever feel like the Lions had a chance to win that game. I just never felt like they were in that position, no matter where the game was at.
I think they came back from almost 21 down.
They did. They were also leading, I think, to start the end of the first quarter. They were up, I believe. I just never felt like the Falcons were in jeopardy watching that game. Now, Detroit shows that they've definitely got an offense. And we said that. They got weapons on the offensive side of the ball. So if that defense can come around at all, they could surprise some people this year for sure. The Eagles, man, that offense is going to be explosive. Jalen Hurts definitely has a connection with his boy that came in over the offseason there. So A.J. Brown, going to look real good.
Oh, A.J. Brown looks great, man.
Real good.
He
had like 144 receiving yards in the first 3 quarters. So
that might be a situation where he's targeting him too much, but
we'll see. Devontae Smith didn't have any catches, which was a little surprising. So that'll be an interesting storyline to watch as the season goes on. But man, that offense is explosive.
Yeah, I was surprised that he did nothing. I would have definitely picked him to have a good game. So, I actually got a guest joining us, Caleb.
Andy coming in?
Get him the link, huh?
Andy coming in?
He is. Since it's a Wednesday night, he's not coaching soccer. So, yeah, he put the kids to bed and he's ready to rock.
All right, then. Good thing we already talked about the Chiefs.
Correct. Let's see. Jaguars and Commanders.
Decent game.
Carson Wentz. Who knew?
Me. Indy was an idiot for getting rid of him. He looked way better than Matt Ryan. And all that tells me after watching those 2 games, Frank Wright is not the guy. Frank Wright is not the guy.
He may not be the guy. I think you might be right on that.
Now, I don't think Ron Rivera is the guy that's going to get Washington to where they want to be. I think, now that the ship seems to be righted somewhat, they might want to think about finding somebody else who's a little bit more offensive minded, given today's NFL. But, man, Antonio Gibson looked good. Dotson looked good. Wentz looked good. Washington's showing they got some weapons. So that's going to be fun to see what happens there.
Jags had some fight in them.
Hey.
I see Andy realized it's a late night version of Sports Nonsense and Whiskey.
Yeah. What's going on?
We're just kind of running down some quick hitters on the games from the last weekend before we jump into this week.
I
how
think
about the Broncos.
We'll get there. Andy. I got
Shut
plenty
up,
to
Andy.
mention on that. I got plenty to mention on that, sir. I think Doug Peterson is a dumbass. Etienne had 4 carries for like 47 yards, and he runs James Robinson more. I'm blown away.
They didn't run the ball a lot because James Robinson got, I think, like 11 carries. So they didn't really run it a lot.
He got the goal line work, and he had a reception at the goal line for a touchdown. He had 2 touchdowns. He was playing in the major situations where Etienne wasn't. Etienne is obviously the more explosive back, so why he's got this fascination with James Robinson is beyond me. And then after the game, he said, it was situational. We still think Etienne's an explosive guy. We're going to find ways to get him the ball. I'll believe it when I see it. Because if you want that offense to roll, James Robinson's not the dude you should be putting back there.
And
James Robinson's not horrible.
Yeah, but he showed us what he could do last year. You think at this point in time, new coach, new offense coordinator, you would be trying to do something to switch it up and to give T-Law more pass options.
Yep. No, you're right, Pinky. James Robinson is not awful. He is a solid NFL running back. But if you have to give it to Broncos fans, do you want to see Williams get more touches, or do you want to see split carries with Melvin Gordon?
Split carries.
You shut your whore mouth, Andy.
There's not a reason for it. There's just not. Yeah. When one guy shows he is more explosive and has the ability to do more things, that's the guy that should be touching the ball more. Yeah. So that's going to be an interesting storyline to see what happens. Christian Kirk, that's my boy. I told you he was going to ball out down there in Jacksonville. He had like 13 catches for 90 yards, something ridiculous like that.
He is definitely going in my lineup next week.
Yeah, buddy. So it's going to be interesting to see where Jacksonville goes by the end of the season. Not a bad week 1 start considering what they were last year. Definitely some things to build on. But, I mean, will we consider that Washington's high? Is that their ceiling the way they played last week, or can they play a little better? That's going to be.
I mean, that might have been – that might be their ceiling. They did play Jacksonville.
Keep in mind, Chase Young still is out too. That boy comes back, and that defense gets a whole nother level of good.
I don't know if he's coming back this year.
It's
re-aggravating the ACL.
I know.
Ooh.
It's going to be interesting to see. So, 2 very interesting teams to kind of keep an eye on.
So,
what we got next?
The game that fucked my parlay, the Colts and the Houston Texans.
Tie.
This was
tie?
just.
First of all, I told you Lovey was a bad hire because the dude came out after the game and said my team was tired. We were playing not to lose. No. Second of all, the fact that the NFL allows ties, I went off on this last year. I'll do it again. Dumbest shit in sports.
I do not like a tie. Ties are horrible. I don't really like them because in the columns, a tie actually works in your favor than losing the game.
Sort of. It can also hurt you, but I know what you mean. More often than not, it seems to help the teams that have a tie going
the way the losses.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. Why even play the game? What was the point of playing the game if you're going to allow the game to end in a tie?
I don't know, man. I was just like, how is this possible that the Texans are up like 20-3 on the Falcons?
Because Davis Mills is legit. Pay attention. Davis Mills is legit. And Indy's offense is trash. Like,
It wasn't good.
honestly, trash, dude.
I don't think they. I don't. Well, I mean, Jonathan Taylor, I think, ran for 150 yards, but that was it. And Michael Pittman had a good game too, but I don't think they have enough weapons overall.
They do. Paris Campbell actually healthy. He had 4 catches for like 40-something yards. They have weapons, dude. They do. They have an old quarterback who everybody thought was going to be better than what they had, and he's not. And then they have a head coach who thinks he's a brilliant mind offensively, and he's proven he's not. So a team that we thought was Super Bowl contenders has proven itself that it's not.
I mean, I think they'll still go on like a short run like they did last year, where they run the football really well, they play good defense, and they beat you. But I think it's going to end with the same results. They're going to be not great.
I think we were a little too high on them. I do. After watching that week one game, I think we were a little too high on them.
Week 1, it's a big time for overreactions.
Yep.
So,
I'm not trying to overreact. I'm just trying to, based on what we saw.
Just trying to reel you back.
Unless they completely change the way they're calling their offense, I don't see things changing a whole lot there.
Let's see. We got to go a little bid faster here. Giants Titans also fucked a parlay of mine.
Saquon.
What'd you see, Andy? Did you see any of that one?
No, I only got to see some highlights, and just like Caleb saying, Saquon looked awesome. But everybody knew Saquon was awesome. It's just like CMC. No one ever doubts the talent. How long is Saquon going to stay on the field? And the saddest thing is when you see that much talent and then how old he is already, his chance at records are gone. I mean, his chance to be one of the greatest of all time is already over, and that's sad.
I will disagree with you in this regard. TD got into the Hall of Fame because of his first 6 years in the league.
Yep.
Because it was elite.
Yep.
If Saquon could go on and have, counting this year, 4 elite years, he can put his name up there as an all-time.
That's a tall order, though.
Yeah.
Look, I said before, and I'll say it again. His injuries are not something he was known for. They were 2 freak injuries.
No. In college, he wasn't known for injuries.
Yeah, so it's not like his body's known for breaking down. So, yes, I understand he has to be healthy, and once you start having injuries, the likelihood of them coming back, it definitely, percentages go up. But, man, I just – dude is fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Such a talent. And their offensive line is better. It's still not, it's still not top 15 yet. But if they could put a real, offensive line in front of him and allow him to get to the hole before someone's touching him, man.
I will say, after watching him week 1, looking like he is fully healthy, looks better than he ever has. Yeah. That's the best running back in football right now.
What happened with Thibodeau? Didn't he get hurt?
Preseason.
Kayvon?
He took a helmet to the knee in preseason.
Okay.
He played, though.
Did he? Okay.
I don't think he did.
I thought he played.
Did
he sit?
I think he did. I'll look it up. I don't think he played. Actually, I'll just click on the game here. It'll tell me stats.
Yeah, but what I was referring is sad is Saquon could have broke records. I mean,
yeah, Thibodeau did not play.
Okay, they're resting his sprained MCL or something like that is what he had. PCL, one of those weird ones. Okay. Yeah, Andy, I'll agree. If he doesn't miss 2 full seasons, basically, his name in the record books is looking a lot different. But I still think, I've got Gale Sayers as a top 5 all-time running back.
Oh, I love Marshawn Lynch, and I don't think he's, going to ever get the record. He didn't get the records either. But, dude, when he ran, he was just – we're never going to see a running back stiff arm everybody on a team once and then come back and get people for a second time. That's it.
He's an Earl Campbell, though. Love watching him run, but as far as elite talent goes, I would never call him an elite running back.
Man. Was beautiful, yeah. Those runs.
Marshawn's more of a steady Betty. Earl Campbell's on a different level, man.
I'd say they're pretty equal.
No, man. Earl Campbell with those big-ass thighs, he had power and speed. He was on a whole different level, man.
Marshawn outrun dudes all the time. After he stepped on him, he took it to the house.
Marshawn ran through dudes. Earl Campbell ran by dudes and then threw them. I know my history on Earl Campbell, my man. Earl Campbell.
So do I. He
is elite.
ran dudes over. He never ran by anybody.
You might need to pull up his highlights again, man.
Go right ahead, buddy. Go right ahead. Earl Campbell was known for running through people.
Spearing. He was spearing. He always
too.
lowered his head.
Yeah. Earl Campbell wasn't known as some speedster running by everybody. He wasn't. He just wasn't, man.
Look at his rookie highlights, man. He's running by guys. Again, he's not on the 4.3 speed the guys have now, but for his day and age, he was running by people. When he got into the open field, he would run by people.
A lot of running backs run by people when they're in the open field, Pinky. Like, come on, let's not go down that road again.
Bro.
If a quarterback is protected, he's going to look good. Like, come on,
at his size, to be able to do that was pretty awesome.
I'm just saying, that's not what he was known for.
You're not accounting for how big the guy was.
I am. I'm just saying he was not known for running by guys.
Right.
He was known for running through them.
That was a shitty game. Titans suck. Moving on. Vikings, Packers. No surprise here.
Wow.
I was very surprised.
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised.
You should be. We picked the Packers to win.
Vegas, well, that was before everything happened.
What do you mean? Before everything, what happened?
They had none of their O-lineman starters played. They had almost none of their starting wide receivers play. Like, they were down to backups to backups.
All right, so I'll give you that part.
Thursday, when everybody was scheduled to play, Packers were still leading. And as soon as everybody got announced out, Vegas flipped the line, and it was Minnesota by 7. So, obviously, Vegas knew what was going to happen.
I think there were some very poor defensive strategies used. Not having your top corner follow Justin Jefferson around is a mistake. Like,
the Vikings only scored. Vikings have a pretty good offense, I would say. They only scored 23 points.
I know.
Like, I don't think that's horrible. The Green Bay defense gave up 23 points, but they got nothing from their offense.
Let's just say Green Bay front office may still not know how to draft.
Probably not. That's why
how are you going to pick a wide receiver, your top wide receiver who doesn't have hands? Like,
let's pick 2 Georgia defensive players in the first round that don't help us, at all. So
I mean, now Lazard being out, I'm interested to see if he's really going to be a top wide receiver like Rodgers thinks he is. That's because if he can,
Rodgers has to talk up his guy. Lazard's never going to be like that guy. He's just not.
I don't know, man. I still think he can go for 1,010.
I mean, sure, because they're going to be behind and have to throw the ball all the time.
I don't think they're going to be behind that often. Not very many teams in the NFL have the firepower that Minnesota does, dude. Very few teams, in fact, have
Minnesota's
the firepower
got a lot of. They've got a lot of firepower, but if they're not getting any consistency out of your offense,
they got arguably the best wide receiver in the game. They got a top 5 running back. They got an incredibly underrated quarterback, halfway decent offensive line. I mean, there's only a handful of teams that can compete on that level on the offensive side of the ball.
This might be one where Colin Cowherd had it right. He said the Vikings would be the most improved team of the offseason.
I mean, what were they last year? Weren't they like 9-8?
They barely missed the playoffs, but
I mean, how much more improved do you think they're going to be? I mean, 2 wins is not most improved.
I mean, he had them, going deep into the playoffs this year.
All right, that's fair. Some people have them as a Super Bowl pick. So
I think they win that division. So
I don't. I still don't think they do that.
This one was really bad to watch. Thankfully I didn't watch too much of it because it hurt my eyes. 49ers Bears.
I don't think
it wasn't a monsoon.
I don't think you. Yeah, that weather is one of those things that's the great equalizer. I don't think you can really judge anybody in that game on anything because when you can see guys' feet below water line on the field, like I don't know why you can do anything.
Oh, what just happened?
He's gone. Did you boot him?
No, he's.
Oh, there he is. He's back.
I don't know what happened there.
He didn't want to talk about that game either.
Oh no, I had Justin Fields. He saved me in fantasy because of that game. Justin
Fields
Fields
is gonna have
outperformed Aaron Rodgers by like 500%. So
Fields is gonna have a good year.
I'm gonna have to start Tua
Andy-
over Aaron Rodgers.
Everybody did better than Aaron Rodgers.
That's true. That's true. But yeah, I'm not judging anybody for anything on that game because, like I said, when dudes' feet are below the water line running around the field, like you
Where they
can't.
showed Justin Fields when he slid on the field, he dived and he slid with his arms out.
Yeah.
And water was splashing up on him.
He looked like he was at the bottom of a water slide where everything comes up and over and around you to slow you down. Like
it's like throwing a 20-pound ball. I mean, it's different. Yeah.
Trash game. And then, Elijah Mitchell goes out in the first half with a knee injury. And
I mean, he was doing
a lot of things.
I want to say he was doing pretty good before that injury.
He had like 45 yards or something like that before the injury. So, there's a lot of things that just didn't add up for that game. So, move along.
Another crappy game, Browns-Panthers.
Baker's not good.
I don't think they really got going till the second half, but
Baker's not good, and the Panthers are going to regret naming him the starter. Now, they don't have a choice because Darnold ended up getting hurt, and he's on IR for the next 4 to 6 weeks. So, he would have ended up playing anyways, but I think they'll regret naming him the starter, and it would not surprise me if Darnold ends up taking that starting job before the season's over.
I do think – I want to say the last 5 minutes of that game was entertaining because the lead changed multiple times, and, of course, the Browns won on a 58-yard field goal.
Yeah.
Browns blew some coverage. Robbie Anderson got behind the defense, and that's all that happened. And Baker treated it like he was God again. So he's done. As far as I'm concerned, he's done being a starter in the NFL, regardless of if he's the starter for the rest of the season. He's done.
He did look really bad, epically bad.
And let's be honest, the fact that he targeted Robbie Anderson more than he did DJ Moore already shows what kind of quarterback Baker is.
I have DJ Moore in a couple leagues, and I was like, this is awful. I'm regretting this decision.
I told you, as soon as Baker became the starter, that was a detriment to that offense. It just was. CMC didn't look good.
He did not. I mean, I think he got in the end zone, which was nice to see. But yeah, other than that, I don't think he had much to. I don't even think they threw him the ball much either. That's his bread and butter. Get him the ball.
Baker's just not good, unfortunately. Not good.
A very entertaining game, Steelers and Bengals.
Yeah.
That was
rough.
So these were my two thoughts at the end of that game. I decided to condense everything about that game into two thoughts. One, the Bengals are still the Bungles. And two, they're super crazy talented. Because how do you turn over the ball 5 times from your quarterback and still have a chance to win the game? You want to talk about the Chargers being the Chargers? How about the Bengals are still the Bengals? Damn.
I give them credit for coming back, hanging in after 5 turnovers, and still they did kick twice to win the game and missed it. Now their long snapper was hurt.
If anybody's following the comments, Junior's correct. They are Super Bowl frauds. They got lucky last year to make it. They're not going to be anywhere close to it this year.
They got very lucky last year.
They got a lot of.
They cheated.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. The Chiefs took advantage of a Down syndrome coach, so you shouldn't feel much better.
There's nothing wrong with that. They put them in the NFL. They got to deal with it. Nothing wrong.
Kind of sucks that TJ Watt got hurt.
Yeah.
Hey, luckily it's not torn enough to require surgery. They're saying he should be back in 6 weeks. So
I know, but the problem with that is with those types of things, it's easy to tear it completely, even after
when he comes
come back.
We'll see.
It's possible.
I agree. We'll see.
And I know
he was a monster, though. I want to say
JJ had a torn pec too. So
he didn't. He came back by the end of the season.
Yeah,
he came back the last game of the season for the playoff run with the Cardinals.
Dang, because he was out during the Chiefs game, so I didn't know what was going on this year. So I was like, wow.
He's I don't know what he's got this year. But I thought that was a fun game.
Sidetrack. Talk about somebody who's, if body had held up for him, could be the best defensive player of all time.
Yep.
We're talking about injuries earlier with Saquon and stuff in record books. Damn, J.J. Watt
They-
doesn't get injured as much. His body holds up.
Oh my god.
That dude might go down as the best defensive player in history. Legit.
I agree. He was amazing.
Junior. Chargers and Raiders. Chargers almost chargered. They almost chargered.
I don't know if I'd say that because we expected the Raiders to be better this year. And
I know.
they look pretty good.
But the Raiders had the ball with a chance to go and score and win the game. And they shouldn't have been anywhere close after 3-car turnovers. So to me, that's Chargers charging. But they overcame it. They stopped Carr. They sacked him. So they made sure it didn't happen. But they were close to letting it happen, man. And that's
Talk
been
to
their
J.C. Jackson being available for tomorrow night's game, but Keenan Allen could be out. There's talks
He's
about
out.
Keenan Allen on the IR.
Keenan Allen's out.
Yeah,
no,
he's out.
I know he's out. I'm saying he could be out for multiple weeks. There's talks of putting him on the IR.
That guy kills the Chiefs. I'm okay with that. He's killed us for years and years.
It'll be interesting to see what happens there. He looked good, Junior. He looked good. Problem is you guys aren't going to be able to win nearly enough games to be relevant when come playoff time.
Yeah, not relevant. Not relevant.
You beat Baker and the Panthers. Like, I wouldn't be too ecstatic about that situation.
Oh, you were coughing, Caleb. I thought you were like choking it.
No, but that's probably why I was coughing.
And it took everything they had to win the game against Baker. So,
yeah.
No one knows the Browns like Baker.
The
He really effed him up, didn't he?
The Sunday night turd. What a turd of a game that was. That was painful to watch if you're a fan at all or a Cowboys fan. That was a tough game to watch.
It just tells me how awful it was for keeping McCarthy. I mean, plain and simple. It screams of why did you keep this head coach when you knew what you were getting?
I'm not the hugest CeeDee Lamb fan, but that dude has some crazy talent.
Oh, yeah.
And somehow they find no way to use him. Two catches for 20 yards.
I also think it says a lot about Kellen Moore. To be honest with you, super high on him a couple years ago. I am off the Kellen Moore bandwagon. They were running the ball really good. Zeke was actually looking explosive the first quarter and a half. And they completely abandoned it the second half. I'm off Kellen Moore. Mike McCarthy is trash. Now, in Kellen Moore's fairness, to be fair to him, he may not have as much control as he would like to with the play calling and stuff because McCarthy's the head coach and might be saying some things, that go against Kellen Moore's better judgment. But, boys look like trash. Dak's now out at least a minimum of 4 weeks, it sounds like. Cowboys are done.
Yeah, and Dak didn't look good before he got hurt. Now, he's playing a good team. He was playing a good team. But I think the Bucs defense is better than you give it credit for.
I'm not saying it's a bad defense, but we've watched him tear that defense up before. We've seen it.
Well, last year, their top 2 corners were out for the game 1. They were out for most of the season last year. So, again, they had a better offense. They had Amari Cooper there and Cedric Wilson. And that allowed Dak to have multiple options. I don't think he has those options. You cover CeeDee Lamb and he's going to Schultz, and that's, that was it.
Schultz didn't really get that many looks. I thought Schultz would have a lot more looks underneath.
They didn't stay on the field at all. But I think it's a lack of weapons there. When they traded Cooper,
issue, man. I think it was play calling. Like I said, when Zeke's getting 4 to 5 yards a run and then you abandon that strategy, like that whole offense has been built off of play action.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to run the ball, then your quarterback's going to look good or bad because you let that pass rush that Tampa has, that's really good pass rush, you let that come at you, you're screwed.
Did you watch that game, Andy?
Yeah, I had to watch I watched everything until the last 10 minutes.
And I know Tampa, 19 points, not great, but they had a lot of opportunities in the red zone that they didn't capitalize on. But they ran the football a lot.
Fournette was going to town, yeah.
Micah Parsons is legit.
Did
Micah
you see
Parsons
Fournette?
is legit. Unfortunately, they don't have 5 Micah Parsons
Whew.
because everybody else couldn't stop the run to save their life.
Did you guys see the hit Fournette put on Parsons? And they've been
Yeah,
hitting each
dude.
other back and forth.
He put his
That was
ass on the
good.
ground.
Who came out and said that hit needs to be outlawed?
Oh, that was Parsons came back. He's like, anybody who hits somebody who is not looking is a punk ass. And he starts.
No. Somebody came out after that game. Damn, who was it?
Oh, it didn't look dirty. He hit him right in the shoulder.
It was a prominent NFL player, and now I can't remember who it is.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything on that one.
I didn't see it look. I mean, Parsons is not looking at him, but Parsons gets hit in the chest from what I thought. Now my memory is trash.
Oh, it looked like a good hit.
It was between the numbers. So I'm like,
he got lifted off his feet because one, he wasn't looking, and somebody else was already blocking him. So I mean,
oh, yeah.
I'm not going to say Fournette is some kind of stud for what he did. He took advantage of.
Remember him at LSU? He looked like a man playing against children when he played in college. He was just mean. When he did kick returns back then, oh my God, you just watched him demolish people. But he never did that in the NFL. So if he's back to it, that could be interesting.
And then real quick. Von Miller said he didn't like the hit on Parsons, and that type of hit should be illegal.
An outside linebacker getting hit by a running back, and he wants it removed, of course.
I mean, it was because he was already being blocked. He considers it like the chop block. You can't go low on a guy when he's already being blocked up high. Vaughn's kind of idea is that you shouldn't be allowed to come through and clean a guy when he's already being blocked by somebody else in that regard. Now, again, it's a linebacker talking about another linebacker, so take it with a grain of salt. But, I mean, the way the NFL is going, there's some truth to the statement.
I mean, if safety is your concern, then I could see there being something about it.
A block creates injuries. Hitting a guy in the chest where his shoulder pads are, man up. I mean, that's one of those. It's like, come on, dude, you've got pads right here in the shoulder and everything, and it's in front of you. Somebody hitting you in the knees from the side, the high-low blocks, because it wasn't straight on. They hit from the side to take your knees out. That's creating injuries. I mean, that's like saying, linemen shouldn't be able to punch in the chest. This is mean. They should softly put out their hands, then shove. No, come on, dude. Every lineman you watch is like punch, and the linemen slap the helmets. I mean, it's.
But just saying, it's not some nobody talking about it. Von Miller carries some weight when he speaks, so it'd be interesting to see if the NFL starts looking at that. He did. He made the Rams look like his bitches.
After he dirtied the Broncos, and he's like, never again. Pulled a Jamal.
What? No way. Broncos dirtied him. The Broncos dirtied him, Pinky. The Broncos, your beloved Broncos, dirtied Von Miller.
I think they helped him out because he wasn't going anywhere with us, so we let him go get a Super Bowl ring.
I mean,
and now he's chasing another one.
But Von didn't want to leave.
The Rams
Von didn't want to go.
Smithed you. That's it. It hurts.
Nasty.
Gets you right in the feels, Pinky. He pulled a Neil Smith.
Go ahead, talk about the last game, Pinky. I got a couple things to say about this game.
I don't know if I want to talk about the last game, but I guess we have to. The debacle in Seattle, Broncos versus Seattle. I probably had to take a good 12 hours of not thinking about it, not looking at Bleacher Report. I didn't get on Twitter. I was literally just completely erased for 12 hours before I could come back and be like, okay, now I can talk about this rationally. Obviously, Seattle, good on them. Geno Smith had a hell of a first half. I can only remember a couple times where I've watched a team play that poorly and still have a chance to win a football game at the end of the day. So there's some good things that came out of the game.
What?
What? Well, I mean, 450 yards of offense, moved the ball up and down. We only punted once. The defense gave up 34 yards in the second half. They didn't give up any points. Seattle didn't get past the 50-yard line in the second half. So
you're going with orange slices.
I don't know. It's not orange slices. They played like shit, but there are some things that went well at the end of the day. Again,
I'm gonna say it again, and you called me a fucking idiot, and Zach then
I will still call you a fucking idiot.
Zach then agreed with you, which is just wrong. You're both wrong. The coach's job You are. The coach's job is to put his players in successful positions.
That's true.
Nathaniel Hackett didn't do that once.
You don't fire a guy after he coaches one fucking game, though.
No.
You were literally like, he should be fired now. He's horrible.
Dude, tongue in cheek. How you guys don't consider that tongue in cheek is ridiculous. But
Sorry.
I'm right.
We were in emotional.
Right.
We are in an emotional state, and you're going to throw something stupid out like that.
I compared him to Scott Frost. That should be obvious of a joke right there.
Yeah. It's a shock humor joke. Yeah. He didn't get him ready.
Louise.
We are in an emotional state. We cannot handle those kind of things, Caleb.
Terrible, you two. Terrible. But Hackett did an awful job. Awful job. It was evident that he had never called plays in Green Bay. I think that was very evident to me. So he's a first-time play caller, now a first-time head coach, and he didn't do either one well. Running shotgun inside the goal line on 2 different occasions is a trash call.
Team, that's pretty good.
That says nothing about the play calls. That says you have a lot of really good players, Pinky. A lot of really good players.
So none of the plays that actually did well were his play calls? Like, you can't...
When you dump it off to your running back that many times, that's not play calling, Pinky. That's not play calling.
So I have
that's
no
not
idea.
Your first option. Don't sit here and act like dumping it off to Williams 13 times is your play call.
I don't know anything about that. He should never have 13 catches. He should. I'm agreeing. I'm agreeing with you.
Just admit
I'm saying he shouldn't have 13 catches. I agree.
Pinky, just let the
tip
in.
Say the play calls got you 450 yards of offense. They didn't. They didn't. A really good quarterback and really good weapons managed to overcome really bad play calling. It's that simple. It's that simple.
And it was Seattle.
You can't fire a guy after one game.
I don't actually. Oh, my God. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
God damn it, Doc.
He's not looking good, though. And the fact that he apologized basically and said, I should have made a different call. We should have gone for it. And then doubled down on the fact that if we got to the 46, we were kicking a field goal means he wasn't actually saying they should have gone for it. It was trying to prove that he was right and they just missed the field goal. Mind-boggling how that's your game plan.
Now,
if we get to the 46, we're kicking a field goal. Doesn't matter what's happening. We're going to kick a field goal if we get to the 46.
Hopefully he learns from that. They had no urgency on that drive whatsoever. And
it was trash. The whole game plan was trash. The only reason they had an opportunity to win is because of how talented the team is. The problem is he is very McCarthy right now. And unless he magically changes everything, which means his entire thought process, the Broncos are not going to win above 9 games. And that's just being realistic.
I mean, the way they played that night, they wouldn't beat any team in the AFC West.
Look, taking the whole preseason off was evident in the fact that you had, 13 penalties for over 100 yards? That's terrible. That's unexcusable. And that has everything to do with coaching, not players. Yes, the players should do better. But the coaching, again, did not put you in a position to succeed. That is the coach's entire job, is to put you in a position to succeed. And he didn't do that.
What'd you see, Andy, since we haven't let you talk yet?
Oh, no, you guys are aces. This is your bread and butter, your heart and soul. Like we talked about, I didn't know half the defensive schemes didn't seem like you guys are using your weapons. And that was the funniest thing about it is when you're running the 3-4 and you've got your middle linebackers that far back, I mean, dude, they're going to get 3 to 4 yards every time, no matter what you do, because your linebackers, and they're splitting it too, because he never was doing double A gaps.
Now, so one of the middle linebackers is not the starter. The starter got hurt in practice.
But that's play calling. Like, your guys' players aren't bad. I mean, as a Chiefs fan, I'd love to be like, oh, you're shit, you're horrible. No, they weren't. Like, the players didn't look too bad.
They don't have great middle linebackers that are head hunting middle linebackers. They just don't.
Dude, you're playing one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. Bring the heat.
Correct. And
force them to do something, and you didn't do that.
It's just like when you take your corners 10 yards off the line, and then like, oh, they're killing us with slants.
Well, again, they played zone in the first half. They switched to man-to-man. Their defense did much better in the second half.
Correct.
When they made the adjustment.
Yeah. So, I mean, hopefully, again, just like you guys stated, it's week 1. And that's what we've talked about for years. Remember when the Chiefs would look good, and I'm like, man, but we're barely beating these bad teams. I don't see us doing it down the road. And that was always my fear is when you play a bad team, you've got to do it like the Patriots would do, 48-3. You've got to go off. You have to look dominant. And if you don't, as fans, we have to ask questions, right? We can't just sit there and be like, oh, I believe that Andy Reid will do everything right because he hasn't. But to sit there and just blindly go, you can't. I mean, you want to see your team look, oh, wow. And when you don't, that's when it gets really scary because if you struggle with the Seahawks, well, shit, we know everything goes through the Bills this year. I mean, so that's where it's like, man, if you don't have a shot at that, what? Do you guys right now start playing for a quarterback next year?
Pinky, I'll give you some orange slices. Garrett Bowles wasn't the problem.
You know, what actually hurt, and it kind of sucks, when Quinn Miners went out, that really hurt the run game. And in fact, Graham Glasgow didn't get that play call down on the 4th and 1 at the goal line. He went into a pass set instead of a run set, and that's why Javonte ran into him, and then he fumbled. So if Graham would have known the play call and it was a run play,
how about you get the play into your players before, 10 seconds are left on the play clock?
Again, that was a problem all night, but it is.
Then maybe your players have a chance to actually.
That is one of the hardest
what's
places,
happening in front of them.
That's one of the hardest places to call any plays at when it's
Oh,
that fucking
bullshit!
loud.
The coach calls the play into the quarterback's ear. How are they not lining up until there's 6 seconds left on the play clock?
And even if you can't hear it, like let's say Russell couldn't, you just sub a player in with the play. That's all you do. I mean, everybody's done this for years. You just sub the receiver and he just tells the play to everybody.
Absolutely, Andy. Or you're going to tell me Russ isn't, I don't know, veteran enough to audible at the line?
Yeah.
It's not like they were getting set up. Russ was sitting in a huddle waiting for something until there was like 10 seconds on the clock. Then they were trying to line up and there's only 6 seconds left on the clock. What do you expect your players to do? You expect them to be composed at that situation? You expect the offensive line to call out their assignments with 3 seconds left and have a good situation?
All of those things are true. I'm just saying, if Quinn hadn't gotten hurt, we might have had some different outcomes. Quinn's a really good guard.
Do this.
Injury had nothing to do with anything, Pinky.
Absolutely. Quinn didn't play the whole second half.
Melvin Gordon fumbled on the one out of a shotgun run because he wasn't in?
To the right. If Quinn
wasn't in.
He might have gotten in. Might not have been an issue.
How about don't run a shotgun play when you're inside the 2?
I wouldn't run it. I wouldn't run a shotgun play inside the 2. Again.
How about 3 different occasions you're inside the 5 and you run shotgun?
It's like when the Chiefs are like, oh, man, we just got to make one play to kill the clock. We'll do shotgun draw Jamal Charles against the Broncos. Oh, he fumbles the Broncos. Yeah.
Bad play calling. Now, Hackett's still got time to learn, and it'll be interesting to see what he does going forward. But, man, he looked like a brand new head coach for damn sure.
At the end of the day, a lot of those play calls are not right, struggled. But you still only punted once, and you went for over 450 yards, and you had multiple red zone attempts. Any of those plays go in, we win the game, and we're not having this conversation. So
we still would be. I would still be talking about the same stuff because you played one of the worst teams in the NFL, and that's how you played.
Yeah.
But that was their Super Bowl.
So what? I don't want to hear. Oh, I hate that argument. It was their Super Bowl. Who cares? If you're a better team, you should smoke them.
Period. You should, but sometimes that doesn't play out that way, does it? We've learned from
multiple. I'll say it again.
Multiple teams showed us that this weekend.
The NFL is the only professional sport where coaching can have such an impact on the outcome of a game. The only one. And if you have a trash coach or a coach who doesn't know what he's doing, it will show up every time. And it showed up. It showed up as somebody who obviously was never a play caller and doing it for the first time, and at the same time trying to be a head coach for the first time. The moment was too big for Hackett, unfortunately. Now, again, he can learn from it. He can grow from it. He can still be a great coach.
Well, you remember how many...
Right now, game 1 was bad.
Well, you guys remember how many times Andy Reid had to give up play calling abilities, right? Remember when he first came in, he would start the season, he would call plays. it would go bad. Like everybody at first, like, oh, Andy Reid's a genius. 8 games in, we started losing a lot. Then they would switch to the offensive coordinator. That's why so many teams got fucked by our offensive coordinators, because they're like, oh, Andy Reid let Matt Nagy do play calling, and they started winning. Oh my God, Matt Nagy's the man. Then he goes screws the Bears. I mean, you saw Doug Peterson. It happened with. There was 5 seasons where Andy Reid lost the ability to call plays, and what do they tell him now? Oh, he's the greatest play caller the NFL's ever seen. He's so crafty, he's so creative, he's so amazing. So hopefully,
I think the beauty with Andy Reid though is he's had Bieniemy for what 5 years now, 4 years, 5 years now.
Yep.
So they're very simpatico. They're on the same wavelength, so he can hand it over and still get his genius out of what he's wanting those plays to be.
Correct.
So that's the difference there. But yeah, I think I was very much on the bandwagon that the first year head coach wouldn't be an issue with the Broncos. I was very much on that, and I was proven very wrong.
Well, you got to also remember not only the head coach, but every coordinator, it's their first time being coordinators as well. So you've got that throughout the entire hierarchy.
Cortland Sutton didn't have a ball thrown his way until there was less than a minute left in the first half. That's my all you need to know about play calling. That right there says everything you need to know.
Andrew Beck shouldn't be like 3 for 65 in the first half, and Cortland Sutton not have a ball.
We've already spent too much time on this game. Moving on to week 2.
I need more alcohol at this point.
We got some specific games you wanted to talk about, right? Let's talk about some specific games for week 2.
All right. So obviously the best game, probably the best game of the weekend, is tomorrow night. Chiefs-Chargers. What do you think, Andy?
Oh, it's a big question mark. I mean,
where's it at? Sorry, Andy. Where's it at?
Arrowhead, I believe.
Arrowhead.
Oh, it is.
Dumbass GEHA Stadium.
No,
it's a horrible fucking name.
It's how you enunciate it. It's Geehaw. You say "let's ride" at the same time. You say "Geehaw, let's ride." That's it's but yeah, it's a horrible name, and they always say everything too. They never like Geehaw. They're always like GEHA. It's just bad. But no, I mean this will be the true test of the Chiefs, because we spread the ball around. We did what everybody said, but you don't get any kudos when you beat a team like the Cardinals, because we should beat the Cardinals. So Mahomes looked awesome. They had the nerds did the math. It was like Mahomes is on course for 87 touchdowns, like 67,000 yards. It was hysterical. They did the math on it. But the issue is we've got to see what we can do. Our defense looked great. Well, Kyler Murray was running around, throwing the ball all over the place, and a lot of times guys were open and he missed them. So it's hard to be a defense when you get a third down, stop, because the guy was just blown. Well, that sounds horrible. But in the Chargers, hopefully we'll be able to play better. We'll get to see better talent there. So this will be a true test of what we can do. I think Chiefs are going to do the exact same thing. We're going to spread the ball around. Kelsey's going to get a good amount of targets, but everybody did. I mean, out of the touchdowns, trying to think, I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire is the only one that got 2.
Juju had a good game.
Here's the problem with what you did. You can't take the Cardinals game and compare it to what's about to happen tomorrow night, because you're not going to be able to run the ball tomorrow night.
We've not been able to run the ball against any team.
And so that's going to allow those pass rushers to tee up and come at Mahomes, which Arizona can't do. Arizona couldn't put any pressure on anybody.
3 sacks.
Yeah, but he does that occasionally.
Yeah, but he's never played with a Bosa.
Andy, what's
that's the kicker. Now he has Bosa with him.
What's Trey Smith's status for tomorrow?
Last I saw, he's still nicked up. They're not sure. They're not looking to rush him back because
with Thuney, Creed Humphrey, and Smith, they can run the ball on the Chargers.
Yeah,
but losing one of those guys.
No, because they don't have a good running back. I still don't think CEH is anything. I think he lucked out and played a terrible defense, and it made him look good.
I could agree with that statement, but their O-line is good enough to run the ball on the Chargers.
The O-line is, but we don't run the ball. I mean, even if Andy Reid could run the ball, he chooses not to run the ball. That was the whole thing we talked about. If the Chiefs drafted Jonathan Taylor, we don't talk about him today. We're like, ooh, Jonathan Taylor, we'll never know. But the sad thing is, Chiefs don't. We don't pound the ball. Our offense is not made to. We don't set up our passes. Our passes set up our passes. So everybody's like, oh, you run the ball to set the pass? Not for Kansas City. Oh, you set the run to set play action? No. We do all our screens and jet sweeps. protect more of our passers than anything. Because when we think they're blitzing, we start running jet sweeps. You'll see Andy Reid do it every time. Once he gets too much pressure, he just starts jet sweeping everything.
Well, and then your defense is going to actually have to do something against a high-powered offense, which I don't see happening either. So that puts more pressure on the offense to make plays, and that changes.
I think having Keenan Allen out is a big deal.
Yes, that'll help us a lot. Mike Williams will have a good day, but L'Jarius Sneed, I mean, dude, the defense got better. Sneed has been really good for us. He's our best corner. Travarius Ward held like a mofo and let guys go all the time. He was such a detriment to our defense. Just losing Ward makes our defense better. He was
based on what I saw last week from the Chargers, Keenan Allen isn't going to be as big of a loss as it would have been in the past.
He smokes us. Keenan, every year, I hate him. He smokes us, dude.
He's really good. Don't get me wrong. Keenan Allen is top tier, underrated, top tier.
He'll have like games where he's horrible. But
their rookie that they got, I can't remember his name right now. He had 2 touchdowns, 60 yards and 2 touchdowns, or 60 yards and a touchdown.
DeAndre Carter.
Carter, thank you. He looked solid. You still got Mike Williams. You still got Eckler. Everett looked good. So it's not as big as a loss as it would have been in years past. And Justin Herbert's the real deal, man. He is the real deal. So
he really is. I still think you missed that. Keenan Allen's consistently open when he should be open, and he's there where he should be. And I think losing that is going to be a.
I'm not saying it's not a loss. I'm saying it's not as big as it would have been in the past. I still think that offense can roll even without Keenan Allen, where in the past it would have set them back a little bit. I don't think it sets them back anymore.
I had Chiefs winning this game. Before that, I have them winning it afterwards. I think the Chiefs are going to win.
I hope so. I mean, the Chiefs' defense showed against the Cardinals, and against the Cardinals, we can collapse the pocket now. Karlaftis collapses the outside pocket, which we've never done, ever. Frank Clark never collapsed the pocket. He rushed from the outside. So now with Chris Jones collapsing the middle, and then Furious George, as they call him, collapsing the outside, it changes everything.
Yeah, we've got him winning this one at home, and we've got him losing to the Chargers at home because that's your big thing. In division, home and away. That's how Pinky likes to roll. So
that's how I like to roll. It's the easiest way to do it.
We'll see what happens. It'll be a good game.
Yeah, and that's it. So for me, it's we got to figure out who we are. So we should.
What's the next game, Pinky?
Bucks Saints.
That's the other game that we want to talk about.
Oh no, are we just talking the ones we want to talk about?
Yeah, I thought there were 6 games specifically that you wanted to discuss.
There's I had a podcast reach out to me. Pocket Parlay on Twitter reached out, and they wanted to see if we'd make some picks on games and send it over and kind of compare with what they pick.
So the games, what are the 6 games they want to discuss?
So the Chiefs Chargers was one.
Okay.
I
agree. I can see. I'm a little torn, but I can see the Chiefs winning at home. I think it's going to be a coin flip. Honestly, I think it's going to be a coin flip.
Chiefs at home are pretty damn good. I think they're going to be pumped up.
Here's what I'll say. If J.C. Jackson goes, I've got the Chargers. If he doesn't, I'll go with the Chiefs.
Nah. I'll take the Chiefs regardless. Cleveland and the Jets. I don't know why they picked that game, but the spread is 6, Cleveland.
Like, I'm not even –
with Joe Flacco at quarterback, Cleveland, without a doubt.
I don't care if it's Wilson. Cleveland has a really good defense, and they can control the game with their run game. For real, control their game with the run game. Cleveland all day. That's not even a game. Parlay picks. Get your shit together. What? Cleveland.
Philly and Minnesota.
That's a game that's worth watching.
Philly by 2.
I like Philly. I like Philly in this game.
It's in Philly as well. If that
makes it even better then, yeah.
Did Philly, you guys talk about Devontae Smith at all?
Not having a single reception.
Not one.
Yeah. He was in, so he had 3 targets. I read it because I have him in fantasy. So I was like,
I thought it was 4 targets. Was it 3?
Could be. We'll go
one or the other, but yeah, not.
It doesn't matter. He didn't catch any of them.
Yeah,
not one.
But I was blown away by that because in one of my leagues, I was like, oh, I got AJ Brown quick. I got Jalen Hurts. I was like, oh, I'll get Devontae Smith later. This will be an interesting stack. No,
Never stack 3, Andy. Never
I think
stack.
that changes. I honestly believe that changes a lot as the year progresses. He's too talented. He truly is too talented.
I like him too. Yeah.
But it could also turn into one of those things where the hot hand, AJ Brown hot hand first week, it could turn into that guy the second week, and he could blow up.
Yeah.
Smith could go off the second week, and AJ Brown could only have 2 catches or 1 catch or something. It could be a back and forth, possibly depending on how defenses play him. But he's not going to be held catchless again.
Yeah, that would screw defenses if you never know which one's going to go off when. That'd be huge.
I mean, Philly gave up 35 to the Lions, and we think Minnesota's got one of the best offenses in the league.
Yeah, it could be a shootout.
I think Philly's got one of the best offenses too. I think Philly's got a better defense.
Slightly better, yeah. I'd agree with that.
And I think honestly, Philly kind of, for lack of a better way of putting it, I think they kind of let off the reins in that Detroit game, and kind of coasted a little bit, and that's what allowed Detroit to get in it. But again, and I've said this before the season started, Detroit has a really good offense, and by the season's end, there's a good chance that they could be up there as one of the top tier offenses in the league with the weapons that they have. They honestly could be up there. I'm not going to put them up there yet, but there's a possibility of that happening.
That's a close game for me. That's not a game I would probably bet, but I do like the Eagles. I do.
Philly. I
think they need to put some distance between the Cowboys, which I mean the Cowboys are going to suck, but
they need to put some What? Like, you say that like the Cowboys are going to be competitive this year.
I mean, again, in that division, as soon as Dak comes back, maybe they are.
Caleb,
based on what I saw week one. Based on what I saw week one, they're going to have issues with the Giants and the Commanders.
I think they played a tough team week one. I know I'm higher on them than you are, but
who?
The Bucs.
Oh,
yes, you are higher on the Bucs than I am.
Here's crazy. So let's say the Cowboys lose outright. Horrible. Do they take CJ or Bryce?
Yes.
No.
You think they'll let him go for Dak?
They'll take an offensive lineman.
There's some good ones, but wow.
They will not move on from Dak after
they'd probably take Will Anderson from Alabama.
If it was,
oh my God,
if it was any other franchise, Andy, I would have to think about that a little bit. But Jerry doesn't move on from his guys.
Ask Romo. Not just playing.
Pittsburgh and New England.
Pittsburgh, not even close. What kind of games are these guys trying to get out of us?
I don't know. and
are they really struggling with these? Like,
you guys got punked.
New England is the favorite by 1.5 in Pittsburgh.
That's because a bunch of Bostonians are betting on the game. That's the only reason they're favored.
Mac Jones, he practiced today, but he was limited because of his back. So
I'll tell you what. Honestly, the only reason they're favored now is because TJ Watt isn't playing. I'll guarantee that line moved as soon as TJ Watt went out.
So then we've got the Raiders.
New England's defense is trash. I think Mitch Trubisky smokes them. I think Mitch Trubisky tears that defense up.
Steelers O-line looked horrible, though.
Real bad.
Bad.
But what does New England have to do anything about that? Not like they're going to be able to take advantage of that.
But so they got Mac, right? Did they trade him? They trade Winovich for Mac? What am I thinking? The guy from Bama,
he plays inside linebacker, bro.
Wilson. Yeah. But they'll blitz.
He plays inside linebacker. That's not rush.
You blitz the inside.
You could.
Look at, was it Hightower blitz, Donta?
Pittsburgh.
Raiders.
Not even a
Cardinals.
Rams.
The line is 6 for the Raiders.
Wait, you just said Rams Cardinals.
I said Raiders Cardinals.
Andy, help me out here. He said Rams, right?
I thought I heard Raiders.
He corrected himself. He started with Rams, and then he said Raiders.
I mean, Raiders, Rams. I mean, it's the same start, but I said Raiders.
Raiders. It's good.
Raiders over the Cardinals. That's not even close either. Raiders smoked the Cardinals.
Line 6.
Raiders look questionable, man.
I'd take Raiders in points.
Ooh, that'd be good. Josh Jacobs, I could use it, man.
Yo, what are the Cardinals going to do to stop Devontae Adams?
Nothing.
Hopes and prayers.
Now, if Carr will look at Renfro or Waller and spread it out a little bit.
Waller had a solid game. Waller had like 80 yards.
He had 3 catches on like 80 yards, but
let's be honest. When Devontae Adams is open every play based on those films I watched, are you not going to throw it to Devontae Adams? Did you see that route he ran where he put the dude out of both of his shoes?
Yeah, that was pretty nice.
Nasty, dude.
Out of Detroit and the Reds and the Commanders.
Ooh.
Detroit.
Now we finally got an interesting game to discuss here. Actually, second, the Eagles-Vikings was interesting as well. Ooh.
I like Detroit.
It's in Detroit. Detroit's the favorite by 2.5.
Does Detroit get much of a home crowd, though? Do they really go crazy?
Yeah, not really much of a home field advantage, probably.
That's what I was going to say. Like, I love Detroit. That's my second team, but I'm like, I've never heard like.
I think they're getting the 2.5 because they're at home, and they put up 35 on the Eagles.
Yep.
Which
is insane.
I think quarterbacks is you might give a slight edge to the Commanders, but for the most part, probably a wash. Could we agree on that?
Yeah,
it's real close. It's real close.
I think receivers, we could probably wash that as well. I'd say that's pretty even.
Pretty close, yeah.
I would give a slight edge to Detroit with the running backs.
Ooh. Jamal Williams and
Swift. I would give a slight edge to the Lions there. Yeah. O-lines, I would say, are pretty equal.
Yeah, nothing too fantastic. Yep.
I think the Lions line might be better, but
I would give a slight edge to Detroit's defense, I think, after what I watched last week.
They play hard.
I think I will take Detroit at home. Yeah. I like Detroit at home in that game. I think it'll be a good game.
And
honestly, I think it'll be a good game.
This one is actually really this one is really interesting. Miami and Baltimore.
Oh, that's Baltimore. Great, yeah.
I don't even gotta hesitate. Baltimore. Now, I think it'll be a good game, but Baltimore.
I would have said that. I would have smashed that Baltimore last season, and Miami whooped the shit out of them.
Yep. So Miami plays real good against them, and Xavier Howard's going to take one of their receivers off the board because they don't have any receiver that's better than Xavier.
I just don't think it's easy enough to be like just Baltimore.
I do, only because
Baltimore's defense.
You have to respect Andrews and Bateman. You have to. And you have to respect Lamar throwing the ball. Whether you want to or not, you have to. So in that sense, I think Baltimore's offense and Miami's defense kind of cancel each other out, right? If you want to go there.
Yeah.
But I think Baltimore's defense, actually, now that I think about it, Miami's offense is a little bit more explosive this year. Damn.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be the true test for Miami.
It's in Baltimore. It's their 3.5-point favorites.
I will say this. If J.K. Dobbins plays, Baltimore. If J.K. Dobbins sits, Miami. That's going to be my tilt.
He practiced today, so there's hope.
Because I believe if he plays, he will get enough touches to be dangerous. If he doesn't play, Baltimore's other running backs prove they're not going to do shit. So then there's not much of a threat of the run game. But if Dobbins plays, I think he can be enough of a threat to allow the passing game to open up, which gives Baltimore the edge, in my opinion. So I think that'll be my tilt. If Dobbins plays, I'll go Baltimore. If Dobbins is ruled out, I would take Miami. That's crazy to say.
I think it's got to be turnovers. Which quarterback turns it over the least? Because if he chucks the ball like he did last week, that Miami secondary is going to get him. They're
So,
right for it.
that one's not interesting. I think Bucks Saints is actually an interesting game,
No, it's not.
but I think the Bucks will win that one.
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
They should. If they don't,
I mean, I just don't see
Everybody
it.
said that for the last 2 years, and Brady hasn't been able to beat the Saints.
Yeah,
Correct.
Jameis had to put everything he had into winning that game against the Falcons, and I think that should have been a blowout. So
Again, Brady has not beaten the Saints.
there's no time like the present.
is that Peyton or is that the Saints?
I think it's that defense. And Dennis Allen is still calling the defense. Cam Jordan's still there. So I would take that defense against Brady all day, every day, because they've got his number. And after what I saw from the first week against a weak Dallas defense, that offensive line looked like trash. And Brady did not get to do what he normally wants to do. So now you're going to go against the Saints defense that's legit? Where's it at? Is it in Tampa or in New Orleans?
It's in New Orleans.
I take the Saints.
I think I would still take the Bucks, but that's me. The only other interesting one, I don't think it's really interesting. We already know what's going to happen. Titans Bills is the other big one.
Here's what I will say about that game. I think the Bills win pretty handily, but I think you will see their defense look a little suspect. I think Derrick Henry bounces back and he goes over 100 in a couple tuds.
So the line is 10.
Yeah, I could see the Bills winning like 35-17, and Derrick Henry still goes for over 100 yards and 2 touchdowns.
This week has 4 games that there's a 10-point line on it.
What are the other 3?
So you got Titans, Bills, you got Rams, Falcons.
Jesus.
That's a 10.5 for the Rams.
Yeah.
We've got Bears, Packers. Packers are
Aaron Rodgers owns the Bears. That's in Green Bay too, isn't it? That's in Lambeau.
It is Lambeau Sunday night.
Yeah.
Dude, if the Packers
What do you
don't
mean
look
no?
good-
What are you shaking your head no
I just
about?
think that's a turd of a game. I have no interest in that game.
Oh, for the Sunday night, yeah.
For
I think
Sunday night,
fantasy-wise, that's going to have a ton of good stuff.
It'll have some impact, but it's just going to be a turd of a game to watch, I think. And then Texans, Broncos are 10 points as well.
Ooh,
Texans.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that, buddy. After what I just watched week 1, you can't clean all of that up in 1 week.
I mean, they were
a couple weeks to clean up the amount of
Broncos
mistakes the
were
Broncos
10.5 point favorites before they played. They were 10-point favorites after they played.
Yeah, I don't. After watching what Houston did last week against Indy, I said they were going to be competitive. I mean, I expect the Broncos to win, and I do expect them to win by 10 or more, but I don't know if I'd put money on 10 or more.
I don't think I would put money on 10. I just probably wouldn't do it.
You don't go from, what was it? I believe it was 13 penalties, right? 13 for over 100 yards. You don't go from that to like nothing in a week.
I mean, 11 of those were in the first half too, though. Like, again, they did clean some things up in the second half, which they should against an inferior opponent. But again, there's still some things that they can do. The concern is right now for me, Justin Simmons is on IR for 4 weeks.
It's starting to sound, the more I read about that, the more it sounds like it could be season ending.
No, that's not what I read. Everything I read said he'd be fine after 4 weeks. But Quinn Miners is also 4 weeks because of his hamstring.
Oh, weak
he's
sauce.
out.
I love that guy.
Those are 2 big losses.
Yeah.
Those are not prime.
When you're talking about now, here's the benefit to the secondary. You still have Kareem Jackson, so you still got a really top tier safety back there.
The backup safety's pretty good, young, talented guy. Caden Stearns is a.
But
this
when
guy.
you have a bottom tier NFL offensive line and you lose one of your starters, that could cause a lot of issues.
Yeah.
Again, that's why they kept Glasgow, because he's a decent starter. He's not great, but he's decent.
Good thing Russell Wilson's used to bad O-lines, right? So he's just going to roll right with it.
True.
He'll be fine.
Again,
Still had great seasons.
Now, let's hope Hackett learned that you don't run out of the shotgun all game, and your run game can be a little bit more explosive in that scenario.
And when you're getting 5 yards a carry, maybe just run the football multiple times too.
And maybe, when one guy looks more explosive than the other, let that other guy have a few more touches.
They ran all over up and down the field until they got in the red zone. So the red zone was the big issue. Because
they started calling terrible plays.
Yep.
It had nothing to do with not being able to run anymore. It's just moving on. Moving on. Yeah, I mean, they should win by 10, but I'm not – I probably wouldn't bet that.
I wouldn't put money on. I would bet the money line.
Yeah.
And the over-under is 45. I might take the over on that.
What were the 6 games? Go back to those 6 games real quick.
6 games were Chiefs-Chargers.
So I said if J.C. Jackson plays, I take the Chargers. If he doesn't, Chiefs. So a little bit of caveats, but again, I wouldn't be putting money down until right before the game anyway, so you'd know what that injury is. So that's where I'm at. I know you're taking the Chiefs regardless.
I take the Chiefs regardless.
Next game?
Browns and Jets pretty much take the
Browns moving.
Eagles, Minnesota.
We both like the Eagles, but a close game.
Yeah, pretty close. Pittsburgh, New England. I take Pitt all day.
Pitt all day.
And they're the underdog, so that's actually you get good money on that. Raiders, Cardinals. Raiders. The line is 6 though on that, but Detroit, Washington was the tough one, I think, but I
Detroit
probably take
at home. We both
Detroit.
like that.
And Miami, Baltimore. I would take Miami myself.
And I said that one was another one where I said JK plays, I take Baltimore. If JK's out, I take Miami.
All right. I sent them over to the guy. And
did you send him with those caveats? I'm curious.
Oh, no. I sent him straight up, man. There's no caveats in picking games.
Yeah, there is actually. Especially when you're putting money on them. There's many caveats to that. That's your MO. I'm not betting until right before the game starts Sunday morning because I want to know the injury reports. That is what you tell me every week.
I think it helps. But for the injuries
basically, you just sent him what you think is going to happen, not what the podcast.
We agreed on most of those. Again, I sent him Baltimore, even though I picked Miami.
But it's Baltimore with a caveat. Right? If Dobbins doesn't play, I do think it's Miami.
I'm not going wishy-washy like that.
That's not wishy-washy. That's based on who's playing in the game. That's where I would pick.
Coming off injury.
If I knew Dobbins was going to play right now, I would say Baltimore, and I wouldn't even have to say anything. But I don't. If I knew J.C. Jackson was going to play right now, I would say the Chargers. That's not wishy-washy. That's major pieces. I'm not talking about like some third-string linebacker.
Manti Te'o still with the Chargers?
If Manti Te'o on special teams doesn't play, I'm taking the Chiefs. Like, come on, man.
If his girlfriend is real, I'm taking the Chargers.
Whatever.
Add JC, subtract Keenan Allen, I still pick the Chiefs.
That's because you like that home and away stuff. You're very big on the home and away stuff.
I think it adds things, but again, playing an Arrowhead on a Thursday night, it's different, man. It's different.
So.
It is. I just think one team played competition week 1 and got to actually see where they're at. And the other team played nobody week 1 and isn't quite sure where they're at.
I mean, but the Chargers getting 3 turnovers from Derek Carr should have blew them the hell out and didn't. Getting 3 sacks from Khalil Mack, a couple fumbles, didn't blow them out.
What do you always say about division games, Pinky? Division games are going to be weird and close no matter what happens. That's what you always say. Like, I feel like you're not taking into consideration your own thoughts and feelings on what these games were last weekend.
I don't think Chiefs are going to blow them out. I just think Chiefs are going to win. It's at home. It's what they do.
All right.
what they do. Thankfully, we get to watch it tomorrow. We'll find out who's right.
It's gonna be fun to watch.
Sorry,
Uh-oh.
that's Darren.
Uh-oh. Andy's trying to get some booty.
Oh no, that's Darren.
Darren's
Like
giving
you
some
said,
booty.
trying to get some booty.
All right. All right, fellas, wrap us up, Caleb.
Man, there's going to be some fun games to watch this weekend, as we just learned. So week 2 is going to go off with a bang. Hopefully, my weekend goes a lot better than it did last. Look, my wife made plans, so I won't even be at home during the Nebraska game. So I am not even going to have to worry about it. So I'm already starting off just fine. So you know what? As long as the Broncos win, I'll be in a much better mood this weekend than I was last weekend.
They're gonna win because we're gonna be at the game.
I think everybody should be keeping an eye on the Pujols and Judge situation, as we talked about at the top of the show. I think that's a fun storyline, just sports in general. College football is rolling, and there are going to be some good games this weekend to keep an eye on. The Heisman favorites will start. Usually week 3 is when you start seeing some guys start putting some names out there, so keep an eye for that. And go sports, baby.
Yeah, Kentucky won.
They did win.
Basketball school, Andy. It's a basketball school.
I know. You know, Calipari had to pay for the football program because it's losing so much money they were going to cut it. And they had him start the basketball now.
That's why we don't talk about Kentucky football, because it's a basketball school.
Hey, they're winning. They're ranked, what, 29?
Final thoughts, Pinky?
Enjoy tomorrow night. You're going to see 2 great quarterbacks playing. I think they will go back and forth, which is always fun for us as fans. Enjoy it. It's going to be a good time.
Andy, final thoughts. Leave us with something memorable.
Oh, man. Guys, it's back, right? We had week 1. How could you not be more excited how many crazy games we saw, how many upsets there were? Which is the most fun of it is how many times...
Andy, upsets are never fun. Because then you
lose
lose
when you're
money.
not betting. When you're not putting money on the games, it's fun.
But the exciting part is it's not formulaic, right? We can't sit here and just lay out the season every year and be like, oh, this is this. It all makes sense. It doesn't.
That's true.
So many games made no sense, but they came around. So that's the fun of it. So you've got hope for every team. Well, every team has hope. Guess what? We're watching 32 teams now instead of just 5 or 10. So it's interesting. It makes the NFL interesting. So,
gosh dang it.
Great season.
I asked for something memorable, and you delivered, sir. You delivered. Thank you. Thank you.
He always does.
On that note, as always, spend that time with your family, your friends, your loved ones. Cherish those moments. We're out. Peace.
Later.